welcome to a homespun house. It's our 10th episode, which is super exciting. I know it's not a ton of episodes, but I've been podcasting for quite a while. This would actually be, I don't even know, I think my 23rd, if you count every podcast that I've done. But as far as my single, alone, a homespun house podcast, it's the 10th episode, so that's something to be celebrated. I'm pretty excited to have that 10 number there. It's really cool. So I wanted to start about today reading a little excerpt from things I learned from knitting, whether I wanted to or not. This is by the Stephanie Pearl McPhee, and it's a book that I really like. It's funny, and I have signed by her actually. I went to her book signing years ago when this book came out, and in it says, "For Molly, obsession is normal," and then her name obviously, but that's pretty cool. So the thing that I will be reading you is "Good things come in small packages." Like most artists, I support my work with an extensive and varied collection of the materials I use to create. Picasso had paint, Michelangelo had marble, Mozart had piano, pen, and paper. As a knitter, I have yarn. Now, I'm way past feeling bad about how much yarn I have. I used to think I had too much. For a while, I even tried going on a yarn diet to lose a few pounds of fiber. But the truth is that my heart was never truly in it. Really, I was just saying all the things I think non-knitters want to hear. We've all been there. They want us to acknowledge that we have too much yarn, to admit that we're out of control and that we should have less. They talk to us about obsession and hoarding. They fail to see the big picture, the way I see it. The big picture is that painters have paint and canvas, gardeners have plants, carpenters have wooden tools, and even if you want to think of knitting as a hobby rather than an art form, golfers have clubs, golf balls, carts, green fees, memberships, and entire golf weekends for their hobby. Once I put my collection of yarn into perspective, I realized that I don't care what people thought. I really didn't. I cared whether or not I had room for yarn, spiritually and literally. I cared about whether or not I could afford it. And when I ordered that big box of fancy wool from Germany, I even went so far as to consider my daughter's possible feelings about my intention to store it in her closet. I admit I would have considered it for a lot longer in her favor if she'd ever cleaned out her closet, but I digress. I took a good look at the stash, and I realized that I wasn't hurting anyone, and that I certainly wasn't spending more on yarn than the golfer down the street was spending on his golf trips, and I stopped feeling bad about it. Not only did I stop feeling bad, I started buying yarn whenever I fancied to. I must admit that removing the element of guilt about having so much of the thing I love has increased the influx of it somewhat. But I don't mind. This is the stuff my art, my hobby, and my life is made of. And I'm just not going to support the idea that having a lot of wool is crushing. World's important issue worth discussing with non-knitters. This is the yarn I'll have for the rest of my life. This is the yarn. It turns out that knitting has taught me that good things come in all sizes, and the size doesn't matter, as long as you're happy with what you've got. Now, where am I going to put all of it? That is certainly open for debate. The reason why I read that to you is because I've been reading through this book, and when I read that, it really got me thinking, because I know there are so many people who are on a yarn diet, or who don't want to purchase more yarn because they feel like, oh, I already have a big stash. I already have enough. I'm buying too much. And I totally agree with what Stephanie says. If you're not hurting your family budget, if you're not in debt and things like that, if it's not harming anything, then why not? I mean, knitting is, for me, and crafting is my life. And I think that any sort of person who looks at it and says, why are you spending so much money? Why are you spending so much time on this thing, on this side thing that you're enjoying, or hobby, like she said, if you want to call it a hobby. There are people who are handcrafting people. It's just kind of who you are. It's what you do. It's what's inside of you. And I think that for the whole thought of how much stash you can have, because I know a lot of people have asked questions of what do you like to gear towards in your stash? When do you think it's too much? When do you need to stop buying fingering weight yarn and start buying sport weight yarn, or sport weight yarn and start buying worsted weight yarn? But for me personally, it's whatever I want to buy, whatever I see that's pretty, that catches my eye, and I think that yarn is beautiful. Maybe I don't even have a project for it in mind. Maybe I just see a certain yarn, and I just purchased some more Lene yarn, speaking of purchasing yarn, because she had her 1-year anniversary sale this past week, and she had 25% off all of everything in her shop. So I ordered a skein of her charity skein, it's a red skein, and then I ordered a skein of Manic glitter. And yeah, I have nothing in mind for these skeins. The charity skein, I would like to go towards one of my designs possibly. Manic will just be fun, but I ordered them because it's not hurting anyone. Sure, I have a bit of fingering weight or sock yarn because I love it. I use it the most. But I don't know. I like to buy yarn when I'm inspired to buy yarn, and I don't want to ever feel bad about purchasing yarn or extra needles or tools of the trade for knitting or anything, any fabric, as long as it is not taking over the family money. Or if you're not in a family, if you're a single person, as long as it's not getting in the way of paying your bills or your rent or things like that. I never have. I mean, now that I've actually been getting a bit of fingering weight yarn, I'm starting to think maybe I need to plan my purchases a little bit better. Not as far as how much I can have in my stash, but I've been thinking I need to plan and get more quantity of things, because right now I'm having a lot of single skeins of fingering weight yarn, so about 450 yards or meters of yarn. And I mean, I can make socks, I can make shawls, I can make mittens, I can make lots of smaller things like that. But if I want to make a sweater out of fingering weight yarn, maybe I can make one for Elodie with one skein. Probably not even. So that's one thing that I've been thinking. I would like to be a little bit maybe more mindful with my purchases, but if I see a skein of a yarn that I really want to buy and I'm head over heels with, I'm going to buy it. And if I really want it, I mean, I'm not the person who's just going online and saying, oh, I want this, I want that, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this. Just when I'm really drawn to something and I want to support the indie dyer or so on and so forth. So I don't want you to feel bad. My grandma is always saying, I have too much yarn, I need to stop buying yarn. And I think that's okay. But if that really is an issue for you, if you really feel like it's kind of eating at you, all of your yarn, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like all of my yarn and fiber, which I don't have a huge collection of fiber, I would definitely like to grow my fiber collection a bit. And my yarn collection. But if you feel like your yarn is eating at you, then I can understand that, like I said. But for me, I feel so inspired by my yarn. I love to go and look at my yarn and think, what can I make with that? Should I cast that on? Should I wind that up? It's just fun. And in our bedroom, we've just totally changed our bedrooms. Now, we have Elodie's old bedroom and she has our old bedroom, because we used to have this huge bedroom and it was just so unnecessary. Now she can really, really play in there. And in our new bedroom, I have 2 big square shelves. They're IKEA shelves, really the big ones with the 4 sections in them, so I have 8. And a couple of the squares are filled with my really, really pretty, they're all fingering weight, and a couple of my hand spun yarns. So that is very inspiring for me, and I love when I go in my room and look at all of that. And it's so funny, Robert said the other day when he walked into the bedroom, he was like, this whole room is like all of your craft stuff basically, and then in the little corner is like his desk. But everything else, every single shelf, there's one whole wall, an entire wall is completely full of all of my craft stuff, all of my sewing stuff, all of my knitting stuff, all of my felting stuff, cross stitch, you name it, it's all there. And a lot of it is displayed. And I really like the way it looks. I feel like it's so cozy, and I don't feel overwhelmed, I guess is the word. I don't feel overwhelmed by stash. I love it. I love beautiful yarn and beautiful fiber. Try to feel inspired. Try to feel excited about what you have, and try to search within your stash and try to put it out. Try to put your pretty yarns and all of the things that maybe you have in cabinets or in boxes. Try to find somewhere where you can put them. Put them on a bookshelf. Put them somewhere. Put them in pretty baskets next to your chair. There are so many beautiful things that you can do with your knitting or with your spinning. I have a wheel where whenever I'm not using it, I always choose a hank of hand spun yarn that I drape over it, just because it looks pretty there. And I love that I've spun that, and I love to see it, and I love to feel inspired by everything that I've done, everything that I'm doing, and everything that the indie dyers and indie businesses have done. And so I like to display it and be inspired by it. So I hope that rather than feeling guilty, you too can feel inspired by the things that you've purchased, and maybe then trying to be more mindful about things that you do purchase, like I said, because I would like to be getting more quantities of yarn, especially now that I'm designing. I mean, now I need to be mindful about what I'm purchasing, because I need to really think about what's going to work well for my designs. So we can kind of hop right on to talking about one of my designs. I'm feeling a bit torn about this one. So last week I didn't knit at all on my shawl. So I'm using the Cyborg Craft Room Space Oddity colorway, which is just beyond beautiful. I really love it. It's still the same exact cake that it was before, but I think it's way too busy. I think it's such a beautiful yarn, and I think it would be nice for a yarn with a lot of garter stitch and things like that. But for a yarn that's basically half lace design, it doesn't work at all. And I've realized that as I've done the first couple of rows of lace. And I'm really kicking myself in the butt, because I knew this a long time ago. I knew this the more and more I knit on the body of the shawl. I kept thinking, Molly, you need to rip it out. You need to rip it out. This isn't going to work. It's going to take away from the design. And then I thought, okay, so then maybe you knit 2 shawls. Maybe you knit this one in this more crazy colorway, and then you knit a second one in a plainer one. It will give people a sort of variety. But I love working with this yarn. I absolutely love the Cyborg Craft Room yarn. And this colorway, the Space Oddity, it's honestly, I think, one of the prettiest yarns that I have. I like it a lot. I think it's quite beautiful, and the reason why maybe the colors in here aren't that well is because it's quite a gray day. It's been rainy, and super overcast and cloudy, but I'm thinking I'm gonna have to rip this out. And I've known this the entire week, but I'm actually so sad to rip it out. But that's what happens when you're designing. But it was just a lot of work. But it sucks. It really sucks. So what yarn exactly I'm going to use now, I'm not sure. Let's see, what's the next thing? So the next thing is, no, not that. Well, that's something else that I'm going to talk about. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, I can't show you anything, but my mittens. What is going on with this ebook? It's like cursed. No, not really. But I ran out of yarn. I'm completely out of my Linné yarn in the Coral Sparkle colorway. I'm almost finished with the second mitten, so it's quite a pity that I don't have enough yarn. I'm going to have to order some more, which really sucks because like I said, I just purchased 2 skeins in the 25% off sale. And I just realized this last night. I was just knitting on them last night and ran out of yarn. So I guess I'm going to have to contact Vanessa and see. Hopefully she actually hasn't mailed out my package and we can get a skein of the Coral Sparkle colorway in there and that I can finish those. And then those will be finished. And then I'll knit another pair and something else. I plan on knitting every design twice and kind of contrasting different sorts of yarns. So the next thing that I'm working on is the sock. I don't think I was very far last time. I don't even remember. I had already done the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, that I remember. Okay, so I guess I've just done the foot. And I'm basically finished with these, with this one. I haven't cast on the second one. And I've tried it on. It fits really nice. I really like the way the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. Why does this always, I'm always stumbling on this name. But yeah, I really love how it fits. It fits so nice, but I feel like something about this heel has slowed me down. The heel was really quick and easy to knit, no problem at all, like I said. Once I read the pattern, I thought, why did you wait so long to try this? But I feel like the foot is taking forever on these socks. But yeah, I really like the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. I can't decide if I'll do it on my next pair of socks or not. Probably. But yeah, so I'm enjoying these. I still think the sock yarn is super cool. And I'm knitting these on Addy, I don't know what kind of Addy circulars. I'm knitting them magic loop. And then I decided to just go for it. And I cast on my White Birch Fiber Art socks in the Refractory colorway. And this is an 80-10-10 superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And this yarn is so luscious. I'm so curious how these are going to feel on. Because it is really buttery. This yarn is so beautiful. I posted a picture of it on Instagram and I totally enabled quite a bit of people. And I know it's striped, but I'm actually doing a pattern on it. I'm just doing a textured, it's called like a polka dot pattern. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But yeah, I'm doing a textured polka dot pattern with pearl stitches. And I'm really liking how it's turning out. I wanted to add just a little pop of contrast and some fun to the knitting. My hands are really crazy looking because we did some fun experimenting at school today with the kids. We all walked to a flower shop and then we dyed flowers with ink because our theme of the month is colors. But yeah, so that's why if you're wondering, my hands are all blue and purple and yellow. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really liking knitting with this yarn, and I'm super pleased with it. It's definitely a yarn I would purchase again. The color, the transition from color to color is amazing. Because I've mentioned to you before that I would like to expand my Etsy shop into hand-dyed yarn and roving. The more and more I'm knitting with indie dyers, yarns, and spinning with their fibers, I really am in awe of their dyeing process. I was talking to my husband this morning about the Lene yarn and just how she really is like Vanessa, a genius dyer. I'm so in awe of her crazy, she has some crazy colorways. And this one as well. I mean, the gradients of the transition from color to color is really lovely. I know in the sock it looks like really color blocked with the coral and the peach and the mint and then the turquoise. But once you get to the next color, actually with the actual yarn, it's so smooth and so really nice. I very much so love this yarn, and I'm having a lot of fun knitting with it. And I'm like I said, I'm really wondering how it's going to feel when I slip them on, because I've never ever worn a pair of cashmere sock. Well, it's not 100%, it's 10%, which is still a lot, and I can really feel the difference in knitting with this yarn. It's such a pleasure to knit with, and it's so crazy because the Patons Croy socks are the first pair of self-striping sock yarns that I've ever knit with, and while the Regia is self-striping, but also not, if that makes sense, this is really the second self-striping sock yarn that I've knit with, and I feel like it looks so wide, but obviously because it's horizontal stripes. But when I first cast it on and I got down here after the ribbing, I kept looking at it and thinking, is my gauge like super loose on these? And I put it up to a couple of other pair of socks that I've knit, and it's not, they're the same exact, but it just looks so wide with the stripes. Yeah, so I'm almost at the heel already, which is crazy because it looks really short to me, but it's actually not when I measure it. And I haven't decided what kind of a heel I'm going to do. I know that Sarah from the O-Snit podcast, oh god, I wish I could remember the heel that she knits, but it's like the Wow, or Sarah, you better write it in the forum because I want to know. There's this heel that she knits that she is so in love with. She thinks it's so perfect, and God, I wish I could remember what it's called. I'm sorry, you guys. And I would like to try a couple of different heels. I don't know. You guys will find out next week what I decided to use for the heel. So there is that one. So that's the Refractory and the White Birch Fiber Arts yarn, 80-10-10. And let's see what else. I have like so many things going on right here. If you guys could only see my sofa, all of my project bags and things that I have to talk with you guys about. So the next thing that I've been working on is my Cozy Memories blanket. I've picked it back up. I decided it needed a little bit of love. So I think I worked, how many squares? Did I work 4? I'm not sure what I had last time. I know that I did this one. This last week. I did this one from my sock. It needs to be seamed right here. And you guys, with this blanket, there will always be one seam in every 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. There will always be one. So yeah, I think I did 4 squares this week. I'm not exactly sure. But this is how it's looking. It's slowly growing and I'm still loving it. I feel this is so special. I love this blanket so much. Every time I look at it, this is my This is my basket that it's in. I think about making a couple of these for the shop, the drawstring bags. Obviously not Christmas themed. And they're reversible, and they're really nice because they just sit open. I actually never close mine because I don't take it with me anywhere. And so I fold up my little Cozy Memories blanket when I'm not working on it. And I just put it in there and kind of have it sticking out. And then I just have it sitting like that at the edge of my shelf. And I love when I walk past and look at it. I just love this project. It's not something that I always want to knit on, but when I want to knit on it, it's there. And it's each square is so quick and so fast and so fun. And I don't know, it's just kind of a nice little cozy knitting. It's just kind of my Cozy Memories blanket. It's just kind of my comfort knitting. So what have I finished? I finally finished my mini bunny love from Susan B. Anderson. And I really love him. I think he's so sweet. I actually have him sitting on my, in the kitchen right now. It's up so high that Elodie doesn't see him at all. So she'll still be surprised when I put him inside of her Easter basket. And so here's his little pom-pom tail. And in her design, I didn't realize this until after I made the pom-pom, but in her design, she actually has most of the tails in a different color. And I kind of wish that I would have done that. I think it's really cute. But I like him as well, and Robert thinks he is just amazing. He thinks he's so cool and so cute, and he's so funny, and he's such a quick, easy project. I know that he took me quite a while, but I only worked on bits and pieces at a time. So, and I had time because Easter isn't for quite a while. And someone asked in the forum how I keep his ears up. I don't. It's just, it's knit at a fine enough gauge. I talked about this in one episode, actually. He's knit at a fine enough gauge that the ears just kind of stay up. They flop a little bit, but for the most part, they stay up, which is really neat. I tried to put pipe cleaners in there. I talked all about this on one episode, so sorry for those of you who remember, but that didn't work. Don't do it. Just trust the pattern. They will stay up. And the little feet, his tail, and then I finger felted with a needle, the eyes and the nose. And then Susan puts a little mouth on it, but I decided he looks fine, just as he is. So that is Hase, Häschen, Bunny, whatever Elodie decides to call him, with his cute little tail. And for his tail, let me grab these actually. For his tail, I used some Knit Pro pom-pom makers, and they come in a pack of 4, and I love these. These are my absolute favorite pom-pom makers. These are the 3.5 centimeter. So they're a little bit bigger than an inch, and they're so cool. They clip together. They have this little line here, which makes it perfect for cutting the pom-pom, the yarn for the pom-pom, and they clip together, like I said, so that it doesn't fall apart, and it makes making a pom-pom so easy and so effortless. And now I really think, after making the tail, I really think about making a pom-pom garland for the kitchen, because that's so like shabby chic and cute, and I might do it. I thought about doing it last week, but who knows, sometime in the future. I feel like it's a fun summer project that I may do soon. But I love these. They're from Knit Pro, like I said. They come in a pack of 4, which is really nice, and they're so easy to use, basically. If you want some sort of pom-poms that make pom-pom making effortless, I definitely recommend those. So yeah, that's my Häschen. And then last week I talked a little bit about Softies or Stuffies. And I wanted to show you guys some of the ones that I've made. So I haven't made a lot, but I have made a couple. And these are the Charlie the Ceiling Monster that I talked about. And I made these for Christmas. Did I make them for Christmas or for... Yeah, I made them for Christmas. And these are made out of frog tree yarn, the alpaca. Now, you can't get frog tree yarn in Germany, which is a huge bummer because when I lived in America, it was one of my favorite yarns. So I'm really sad. I don't have any more in my stash. I have a couple of just teeny balls. I could probably make a scrappy softie or something. But I have a couple of teeny balls of the alpaca worsted weight, but I don't have anything else. I've used all of it in past projects and things like that. So yeah, that's one yarn that I really miss from America. And I think Frog Tree only mostly sells in shops. It's not really an online sort of place. So I finger felt it, I needle felt it as well, his eyes and his teeth, and I think he's so funny looking. This is a Rebecca Danger pattern. And he's so soft. A Frog Tree alpaca is just unbelievably amazing. Even if you want to felt, oh my god. I really love the Frog Tree alpaca for the softies. So there are two of them, and like I've mentioned before, Elodie likes to have two of the same sort of thing. She's kind of actually gotten off of that need to always have two of the same. This is one of the first softies that I ever made, and I completely designed him. I don't remember what, maybe her name was Mabel, or it could have even been a boy named George. I don't remember what I named him, but I made this pattern up by myself. When I was pregnant with Elodie, I thought he would be nice. He doesn't really stay up or anything. He's quite flimsy. But I thought it would be nice for Elodie when she was born, that she could kind of hold on to his neck and carry him around. But she was never and is not interested in him at all. So I have no idea what I will do with him, because I can't set him on a shelf. I can't really display him. I just feel like he is... kind of pointless in my house. I know that sounds really sad because I designed him in a sense, but he's also actually knit with Frog Tree, a fingering weight. Feels like alpaca. Yep. So he's just kind of laying there. The next thing, this is Ethel, and I really love her. I knit her for... I have no idea. Elodie's birthday? Yes, I knit her for Elodie's birthday. And I think she's so sweet. She's a little fairy is what I think of when I see her. She has really long, pretty red hair with a little braid in the back. She actually, when I gave her to Elodie, had a braid in her whole hair, but Elodie wanted her hair down just maybe a week ago or something. We took the braid out. And she has on this really pretty dress, which I designed. And I don't know how easy it is to see. And then she has on this hilarious pair of, like, I don't even know what it is, knickers, some little shorts underneath of her dress. There those are. I just free knit those. I mean, they're nothing special. And then she just has some boots on. And Elodie doesn't really play with her either. So all of these softies at the minute are sitting in my bedroom on one of the shelves. Just for display. If Elodie sees them and wants to play with them, I'll take them down. I don't even care. And this is the newest one that I knit, I believe. I really cannot remember when I knit all of these, but this is George the Giant Squid by Jenna Creper. And he was really cool to knit. I think he is just an amazingly neat design. I was inspired to knit this by Diane of the Knittables. She knit one out of her hand-spun yarn. It was like a deep raspberry and then turquoise yarn, and it was so cool and really different looking. And as soon as I saw hers, I thought, oh my god, I need to make one. So I bought the pattern, and Jenna actually gave one away to one of our viewers at the time, which was really nice. And yeah, I knit him up. So he is really cool. He was basically seamless except for his little fins up here. And yeah, I definitely want to knit more of her designs. She's a toy designer, but she also has a shawl, and she's coming out with a sock pattern, which will be free, the sock pattern. And yeah, so he was a lot of fun. So that's George. And he was knit out of some leftover sock yarn that my grandma gave me a while ago, I think. I don't even know where this is from, actually. I think it's from some extra yarn that my grandma gave me. So those are the Softies that I have. I'm still spinning. This is the Rolex that I'm spinning on. I just took it off of my wheel. I'm still spinning. I'm finally almost finished. I'm hoping that next week it will be all finished. Whether it will be plied or not, I don't know. But and then these are the last of my Rolex. So I don't have any more Rolex to spin, and I think that I will start on the Spin Monkey fiber because it has been staring at me from the shelf and saying, spin me, spin me. And it's so beautiful that I want to spin it and make some yarn with it. It's crazy because I look at the yarn that I've spun and I have no idea what to knit with it. No idea. I don't know. I'm feeling like the yarn that I've spun at the moment is more of like an art piece in my room rather than something that I'm supposed to knit with yet. Right now it's just there looking beautiful, if that makes sense. So some things that I've acquired lately is some buttons. I've purchased some buttons. I had purchased these quite a while ago, the same ones. These ones are new, and they are adorable sheep wooden buttons. And the first time I purchased these, I purchased them for a cardigan. I think it's the Gramps cardigan that I knit for Elodie when she was born. And I think those are adorable with the sheep on them. And then I also purchased an assortment. I got 6 of each, and I think that I will put them together with 1 flower, 1 heart, 1 flower, 1 heart for a cardigan. Here, let's see. So there is the flower. And here's the heart. I think it's a little bit hard to see because it's so small and my fingers are covering it. So those are really pretty. I like wooden buttons. I like a lot of natural, or I like vintage buttons or handmade buttons, ceramic and things like that. So the other thing that I have received are these amazing, amazing stitch markers from Such Gwendolyn Stuff. And she has an Etsy store. And I'm going to show you these because I am in love with these stitch markers. They are a ridiculously amazing price, and you get so many stitch markers. It's crazy. Look at all of these. So these stitch markers are her micro markers. And these are perfect for sock knitting, shawl knitting, anything on finer needles. And they're in rainbow colors. And they are, in my opinion, so affordable that you have to buy them. If you need stitch markers, and like me, I really like pretty stitch markers, but I also appreciate super simple stitch markers because sometimes these really intricate ones just get in the way, and it's kind of taking up your knitting time actually, because you're having to like move the bead around and things like that. And these ones are so simple but so pretty still, that they still decorate your knitting while being kind of like jewelry pieces as well. And all of her stitch markers come in neat tins. So here's this one. And I like that extra feature of a tin, because I'm a person who I like jars and I like tins and I like fun things like that. So the next one is the extended rainbow stitch markers. And these ones I think are probably, I would guess these are her best sellers. That's complete guess, because they are, they're a pretty nice size. So this is the size of these ones. And these as well are all of the colors of the rainbow. I want to count how many there are. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. And it was the same with the extended one. So you get 22 stitch markers. And this one comes in the really cute circular tin. So she basically does a lot of these rainbow stitch markers, and you get a load of them, like I said, which is really nice. Then you can kind of, if you're a person who is quite practical and things like that, then you can just order one set of stitch markers. You have 22 stitch markers and you basically have enough for 1 or 2 or even more projects. A lot of the things that I work on, the most stitch markers they ever need is 8. So here are the jumbo ones, and these ones are bigger. They're jumbo. So just, they're a bit larger. And you can have a look on her website for all of these things. And then I have the rainbow stitch markers. So this one doesn't have as many stitch markers, but it still has a lot. And I believe this is the same size as the extended stitch markers. Just rainbow ones. And then she has these ones, which I'm actually using right now. I have this on, I've been using one for my Cozy Memories blanket, and then the other one I was using for my mitten. Just because I'm really curious about them. I am not a person who, when I first saw these, okay, so this is what they look like. Let me take one off. When I first saw them, I thought, I don't know exactly how that's going to work, because I really like the practical stitch markers. I really like, so let's see how I can hold this. It's a star. And I really like the practical stitch markers. I thought that star stitch marker is going to be so irritating. I don't know how anyone can really knit with that. Sure, it looks cool, so on and so forth. And I thought, I really need to try them because I want to see how they work. I want to give a good review on them and let you guys and let Gwendolyn know what I really think about them. And they haven't really bothered me at all, to be honest. I mean, sure, I can definitely feel a difference in them because it's not shaped circular, but has it gotten in the way? Not at all. I like them. I think they're really fun, and I enjoy using the star one. It's cool, it's neat. My favorite of all of the stitch markers, because it's the size of needle that I use, would definitely be the micro markers extended rainbow, these ones, and then the extended rainbow stitch markers, because those are the size of needles that I use. And I love that you get a lot. So we will be doing a giveaway soon of the Such Wonderful Stuff stitch markers next week, actually. So definitely be looking forward to that. And not only one, but a couple of people will be winning some stitch markers from Gwendolyn, which is exciting because I really love them, and I know that the people who win them will like them as well. I have been going a little bit not crazy, but I've been having a bit of fun. I took out my my ball winder, and when I was winding up my refractory yarn, and I wound up all my projects so that I got them ready for April. So I wound up my 2 skeins of my Nature's Luxury Bliss A inky yarn, which still smells amazing. I had my husband smell it last night. So here these 2 are all ready for my Raven's Nest shawl for our knit along in April. And then I wound up my 2 skeins of the Himalayan Trail Bijou Basin, 25% merino, superfine merino, 75% yak down. I wound up these 2 for my own pattern for my ebook that I will start knitting. I hope that I can get this on the needles this week, but I'm not sure. Maybe I decide to focus on ripping the shawl out and catching up on where I left off. And then I wound up my little skein of Farouche, 65% silk, 35% camel. So this is how small the little skein turned out to be. And I'm hoping that this Friday I can go to the Turkish market and pick up some fresh lavender and knit up some cute little hearts. And this is so soft. It's a lot softer than I imagined it would be, actually. When she told me about this, when Danica told me about this yarn. It's really pretty. So that's kind of what I've been up to as far as yarn winding goes. Last week we had the Hitch giveaway, and the winner of that was Yarning for a Smile, whose name is Kimberly. And that brings us to this week's giveaway, which is Dishcloth Diva Knits On. That's also a Cooperative Press giveaway book. And it's a really neat book because it's super small projects, obviously. They're dishcloths. And summer is coming, spring is coming. For not all of you, I know some of you live in Australia and places like that. But summer is coming for some of us, and it's nice to have those little projects like dishcloths. And the book is neat. It has a lot of really nice dishcloth patterns, and it's nice for learning new techniques. If maybe you've never knit cables before, or you've never knit lace before, or you've never knit with cotton before, it's nice. You can also use the patterns in this book for even like a patchwork blanket is a possibility that you could do. You could grab some nicer yarn and knit the dishcloths into actual blanket squares. There are loads of endless possibilities that you can do with this book. It's really nice. Like I said, I think that these sorts of projects dishcloths are so nice for the warmer weather, because then you just have a small little project. It's quick enough. You can take it on the go with you. You can pop it in your bag, and it's little enough that you're not so warm by it. If you have warm weather where you are, it's not overflowing on your lap. And I think that's really nice. So that is the giveaway for this book. We'll be giving away Dishcloth Diva Knits On. And next week, like I said, we'll have the stitch markers. I actually have a freaking shop update this week. How exciting is that? I have right next to me. So one of these, I just opened it this morning. I love in the mornings to have a cup of coffee and a piece of chocolate. So I had 2 of these this morning. If you guys are curious what it looks like, so you open it up, and then you move this paper, and then here are the little chocolate truffles inside, and they are so delicious. I want to eat one, which is why I mention it now. They're sitting next to me on the sofa, and I would love more than nothing to take a bite of one of those. But I will wait. So I do have a shop update, which is so wonderful. I'm so happy because I had some time, and like I mentioned in the last podcast, I wanted to get a shop update. So there are a couple of bags left in the shop update, and I also have been working on some other things for the shop that are not project bags, which is nice and fun and kind of exciting to be sewing something else, because I'm able to let my creative mind flow a little bit more, because when you're sewing bag after bag after bag, and while it's still fun, it's nice to be able to sew something else. So I still have a day at the pond with the frogs, this bag. And on all of my bags, I have these yarn zipper pulls. And you can actually take it off the zipper and even take this off and use it as a stitch marker. I have one that I use as a stitch marker. And then I have Mother Bee bag. Summer leaves, summertime leaves. Grandmother's garden. And then I just have this neat Japanese print one. I really like that one. This is fabric from a quilt, from this quilt actually that I made. Let's see, here are some of the squares. And it's all that's left over, so it's cool that you guys have a piece of, whoever gets that bag has a piece of the quilt. I have my Roar dinosaur bag. And then I have my Lucky Feather large-sized bag. And I have loads of fabric. You guys can ask me for any custom order and I will get it out to you. I think my time is, the mail has been going much, much faster. Now, it seems to be taking about a week to 10 days before people are getting their bags now, which is really nice. So I'm happy that the holiday season is over and that people aren't waiting months to get their bags. And yeah, I'm still having fun with the shop. I'm having lots of fun knitting. I'm having so much fun talking to you. Hooray for episode number 10. And I'm so happy for you guys sticking with me, hanging out with me, spending your day with me, drinking your coffee, breakfast, whatever you're doing. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy to be here. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great one this week.